What you are about to watch is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute any type of advice. Always question the validity of what you see and what you hear. Viewer discretion is advised.
So you want to become a more successful tyrant? You've come to the right place, and in this lesson on Tyranny 130, we're going to cover a very powerful concept, a concept that is going to ensure that you remain in power and no private or public enterprise is able to get ahead of you and surpass you. I am going to be teaching you how to steal their secrets without being classified as a sneaky thief that you are going to become. At the same time, if anyone does it, they will get thrown in a cold cell for stealing trade secrets and the right and privacy of the author, so they will think that stealing is not that beneficial. You, the tyrant, becomes the hero who protects the privacy of enterprise and hardworking citizens, while everyone gets to report to you. Use your policy to establish that no secret shall be kept from you, because secrecy from you is too high of a risk for the nation, and no good patriot should stand for that. The highest risk is that the bad guys who may act as terrorists, a mafia, or other criminals who want to destroy public freedom may take advantage of excessive privacy. Note how the word salad completely absolves you and helps you execute these policies. The peasantry will revoke their rights of freedom if you sound like you're here to help them and for the benefit of the common man. No one wants some foreign or domestic invader to use capitalism to rise to power and then destroy our economy and public safety. So they entrust you and support you with whatever policy that reflects this thought. This is why words such as "in the best interest of the child" exist and get thrown around to make any excuses to secure a win for some and a loss for others. It gets your agencies funded, your security paid, and your rules to be obeyed as gospel in a prosperity church. The whole point is to create policies that force the private enterprise to require licenses, permits, and disclosures upon your request. If they try to stand up to you and get some lawyer to get smart with you, use your legislation and court system to find them and tell them that they must be hiding something, and you will shut them down if they don't disclose. You can ask Microsoft about that experience. They can tell you all about it. OpenAI was the good guy by insisting that we work together. So we knew they weren't fools and that there is something for everyone in working without secrecy to us. These are the enterprises you want on your side. The good old pulse of alliance for convenience. The public thinks that there is loyalty. Little do they know that a tyrant is only loyal to a tyrant. You tell the public that the laws are to protect company secrets and the privacy of regular citizens. The reality is that all latest inventions, whatever it may be, can make it to a list that you may want for your military, enforce policy, help the courts manage their work, and for police force to do your will with ease. The truth is that the nice to haves is just cool to find out about and how they work, but everything that brings you power, such as drones, latest defense technology, the latest infiltration systems, and the latest surveillance, the latest money strategy, they are all beneficial to you, your associates, and even the opposing party. The good thing about having two opposing parties is that both work like a true group belonging to the same mafia. Together, you as well as your opponents agree on the goal to keep all third parties out. This is why no established leader from a third party exists and will never exist. What appears as useless technology such as social media, especially if it comes from China, is still useful to you to stir up controversy and have the masses fight it off with each other. Some will want it because it is addictive and fun to be on, while others will want it out because it is a compromise on privacy and can be dangerous. The latter has a very good point, but it is also a very useful tool to keep people divided and too distracted while you do the work to raise your power to the next level. The truth is that if you wanted the useless technology out, you could ban it and tell masses that it is in the name of mental health or other elaborate lie, but it serves a purpose. That's why it's good to throw tax cuts to Hollywood and other entertainment moguls, because distraction works in your favor, so you can do your will behind the scenes and not get caught. This is why things like feminism and now even MGTOW and the Red Pill ideology are all good to your benefit. It keeps them divided and at odds against each other over petty arguments. It keeps men and women away from looking at each other and proposing to solve their problems together. This is why it favors you to protect the secrets of how social media algorithms work and how defense technology works. Equally good for you to adopt it by stealing the creator ideas and in exchange for tax rebates and military contracts. Even stealing video game technology and augmented reality serves you so well because you can use it to train your military and police force. Being who you are has never been better before. You can afford linguistics, psychologists, behaviorists, investigators, and all types of scientists to make their acquisition process a breeze. Your lawyers can pair up with your linguists to pick the right words that sound beneficial to the public and to the private enterprise. Creating spectacles is a very powerful tool. Remember how we covered that on our short topics on the laws of power? This is why betting on both capitalism and socialism is the safest bet. You're all for capitalism and the other side is for socialism. If you win, you keep the enterprise the way it is. If they win, you take more than half of the enterprise and people's properties. They don't realize that your structure is a two-headed dragon. Even the ones who you deem as conspiracy theorists are needed because they keep you entertained, and as long as they don't dare touch any of your databases, they're well needed because they keep the workforce and entertainment going. If they lay a finger on your things, that's a very different game though. If that happens, then you do get to throw them in a cold cell for touching your enterprise. Even the opposing party will support you for that choice. The illusion that the other side is your enemy is a great strategy too because it will keep either of you winning, which is good for business. Yeah, some of them are annoying and you can't stand each other, but at the end of the day, both parties know that it is convenient for both to exist in the same space. People will believe just about every and any nonsense that exists, such as that there is a patriarchy, that there is a mind, and that they stand a chance to rise in true social class. We've done studies before on the correlation of this and child-made beliefs such as Easter Bunny, Santa, and the Tooth Fairy. They're not different, but the peasantry is too uneducated to realize. How can they, when your educational system leads them in that direction? This means that if you force to disclose secrecy, it doesn't just extend to the progressive development of the labor force. You can also use that power for policing purposes. You can force certain workers to be mandated and report any type of crime that they witness, even if they prefer to mind their own business and not make enemies in the process. Use your power to let them know that failure to serve you as an unpaid informant will result in revocation of whatever license they hold approved by your agency, and it can go as far as being liable for anything that happens due to their lack of cooperation. You can even extend these types of servitude to the standard citizen of your land. If they are residing in a home where crimes are being committed and the person decides to mind their own business in order not to make enemies or get hurt, you can charge them with conspiracy just as if they had committed the crime themselves. Some people have been wanting to get rid of this policy put in place, which was placed by other tyrants before you came into the picture. But I wouldn't sweat it if I was you. I think it will remain in place for a good while because it is very convenient. We will just use the excuse that we haven't had the time to revise the policy, and eventually we will render a decision through the courts that work in our favor. Another advantage of forcing others to disclose their secret to you is that if they decide to hide their assets and finances in their businesses, you can discredit their accountants and finance licensed professionals. You can pass along this information by forcing them to take an ethics class in order to get their licenses in the first place. This way, they can come up with some elaborate excuse that they were not aware of your policies. If they decide to hide those assets in their personal or business taxes, you can have your agents go after them and make them correct the previous erroneous information and pay back taxes and fines. Make sure you don't prosecute them right away, because if you put them out of work or out of business, it will be extremely difficult to get your cut from them, or it may be drastically reduced. In this case, fines and back taxes is good enough to put them in their place and show them who is who. If they think that they can outsmart you and continue hiding assets, then charge them with fraud. If they have a great lawyer, negotiate for a hefty monetary penalty and agree to dismiss the charges. What you want is compliance before incarceration. You want a working servant, not a servant in a cold cell not working. Patience plays a key role here. After paying hefty fines, crazy court, and attorney fees, they are more likely to bow and recognize their place. The more of an illusion of justice that you can create, the better. This is why you must go as deep as to also have schools have serious conversations and even expulsions of those who plagiarize. This gives people the sense that their actions are being watched. No secret is too big or too small to be kept from you. Not even a car speeding or running a red light should escape you. This serves two purposes. First, you don't want your taxpayers to die. You don't want to spend unnecessary money in emergency response, and you want to punish those who stand to defy your policies. See, not all that you do is evil. You want people to realize that tyranny is not that bad. I've said it so many times that I'm starting to believe it. You want people to perceive you as a firm, fair, and consistent because this is what demands respect. You don't want to be a hateful dirtbag who abuses his power. That usually doesn't last. I think that North Korea will soon realize that lesson, but that's another story for another day. What you're about to realize now is that no secret is kept from you, whether it is a technological, industrial, medical discovery. You want to help fund universities and places that will conduct experiments, treatments, and new solutions. You also want to limit who can conduct these types of work so that it is never out of your sight. What you don't want is someone hiding in the shadows coming up from some solution developed beyond your comprehension that can run you out of the office and have you replaced by a new third party who no one heard from before but becomes more popular than you. Politics are a popularity game. You see, even the lowest of the peasants and even the most compassionate have so much in common with you. If given the chance, they will want to have it their way as well. What you want is to be able to know pretty much anything that would concern you or those who are in the same realm of power as you. Even if you don't like or get along with some of them, you are part of the same evil team at the end of the day. Even an object that flies on your skies, you want to know who is driving it and if it poses a threat to you and your power. Have any type of object that flies require flying permits and licensing so that none of those things take you by surprise. Anyone who defies the policy can serve time in a cold cell or hefty fines. Fines serve such a powerful purpose because it tells the public that you don't mess around, that you're firm enough to make them pay for their mistakes but kind enough to give them a chance to not go to jail. This particular strategy is a win-win for you because they will more than likely elect you again or put you in a higher position since you have given them a sense of justice. I told you in another episode on the 48 Laws of Power that if you play on people's fantasies, you will have a cult-like following. I told you that I did know what I was talking about, which reminds me, you want to once in a while crack down on some of the people who are out of compliance and even on tyrants who get caught abusing policy too much. I think here and there might be fine, but if they go out of hand, get caught, and make a terrible impression with the public, you want to kick them out of your club and have them face the consequences. How dare they did something to get busted? This is the price they pay for being so sloppy. This is why people who make any move must commit and go all the way and not make their greed so obvious or sloppy and leave so much evidence behind. When making a mistake, excuses can only be played so much and so far, especially when the public is aware of how played out that excuse is. The Constitution is okay to some degree because it gives the general public the sense that there will be some type of justice, so you don't want to completely get rid of it, at least not yet. However, in some instances, you might be able to put away those who think that they can get smart with you. Sometimes, you might be able to let your courts get away with prosecuting without evidence if they have solid testimonies from witnesses. Even if the witnesses are lying, that may be enough for your courts to secure the prosecution. You just want to be careful of how far you take it. Meddling peasants like companies making documentaries such as Making a Murderer, or lawyers who actually want to do their job and refuse to be on your payroll may intervene with programs like the Innocence Project. That is not good for business for you because it shows that your buddies at the courthouse did a poor job and may put them on the hook to pay lawsuits, which lawsuits are fine because since you're friends with those who print the monopoly money, can just print more or even better, change some digits so that your courts can print a check and pay out for their sloppy work. Money is not the issue. We established how deep the acceptance of the monopoly money goes. However, the reputation that your courts might run in the process doesn't just go away. If people perceive as a heavy injustice, they might riot and stand against your tyrant friends, which in turn will affect everyone up the chain too. You may be fooled to think that you can handle the public with your police force and other thugs dressed in uniforms, but don't forget that those thugs also have families in the general population. And a while back, there was a survey completed in the military where they asked the members of the military if martial law was implemented, if they would force the general population into compliance. Surprisingly, more than 2/3 responded that they would not stand against the general population and would rather turn on you. If 2/3 of your defense turns on you, it is game over for you and everyone who's in this tyrannical game. You don't want that. Remember that ironic DreamWorks movie? How right they got the message on that Ants movie, where grasshopper tyrants realized that if the ants unite, they stand no chance against the colony. It became crucial to go crush the queen and remind them of where their place is. However, we know how that went. That is a perfect example of a great idea poorly executed. If you crush your biggest offenders, others will learn to fear you. But you must ensure that they don't get backed up and convince others tenfold to stand up to you. Now you would have to neutralize 10 times the force. And if you fail, they will crush you, and more than likely, you won't be able to get back up. This is why it's so crucial that you complete all the intro Laws of Power series, all the 100 intro series, and the 200 intermediate series, and even the 300 and 400 advanced series, so that you are a well-educated tyrant who makes sound decisions. Even though there is an illusion that the public is stupid, and to a point it's hard not to look at it that way, there is always the chance that some peasant is going to rise up and actually manage to prove what you're doing, and that would mean game over. I mean, look at Nixon's situation. Look at the Clintons' poorly executed strategy that almost got them busted for the things they actually did. It was kind of smart to fabricate an infidelity scandal, but because he came down to remove him from office for not showing loyalty, which is ironic because we tyrants are only loyal to ourselves. But the alternative was much worse, so he made the right choice, which also shows how powerful the media is to have the public believe some fabricated lie. What you don't want is to get caught with your pants down because you thought that the public was not smart enough to figure you out, and the next thing you know, they want blood, your blood. It is best to win the majority through your tricks and illusions of opportunities that benefit them. At the end of the day, some other peasant who earns more will fork the bill. You want to constantly talk about justice, freedom, and patriotism so that the masses will love you. There is a powerful and rich history on how well that works. Look, some of our most early tyrants were the biggest proponents of freedom and justice, but they owned slaves. What do you think they really thought? Come on, this one shouldn't be that difficult to figure out. I hope that you have enjoyed this lesson. For homework, I want you to write a paper of what you think forcing people to disclose secrets entails. What, you thought that because you are a tyrant you don't get homework? Tyrants don't complain. We make and pave our own future, and the future of those who serve us. So no whining and more writing. That paper won't write itself, so chop chop. Get offline and write that paper.